What's another year, 1980? January 1980 began with the British skint. Still on the radio was Buggles and Video Killed the Radio Star. Still futuristic, even though people were listening to it on a radio held together with sellotape. And the ironic notion that radio was soon to be eaten alive by TV. Nonsense. Households argued over heating, pets were fed better than people, and February arrived. Valentine's Day and Britain collectively shrugged. Love in 1980 was practical, suspicious, and often involved sharing a fag out the kitchen window. Pop music leaned awkward rather than romantic. XTC released clever, twitchy songs that sounded like overthinking set to drums. Perfect for a nation quietly panicking. The news in March seemed to bring much restlessness. Teenagers had energy, no money, and very few prospects. And that's where ska and two-tone really sank its teeth into the country. The Specials, Selector, and Madness. BMX bikes appeared everywhere, usually ridden badly and always eventually stolen. Oi, come back! Woolworths was still the only place in Britain where you could buy a light bulb, a cassette, a goldfish bowl, a pair of Y-fronts, and a quart of pick and mix that had been sneezed on by half the town. But don't worry, the scoop was just for you. 1980 continues. In April, Britain were laughing harder and darker. Not the 9 o'clock news stopped being controversial and started being necessary. Satire finally caught up with the country's bad mood and punched it in the ribs. Oi, Rowan, look where you're going. It was still the law that if you were a kid in 1980 on a Saturday morning, you could only watch Swap Shop on BBC One or Tiswas on ITV. Swap Shop was for swats and goody-goodies, but the anarchic Tiswas was more for bullies, skivers, and very naughty kids. May delivered the Iranian embassy siege, 6 days where Britain watched armed men through net curtains. Live, fascinating, terrified, glued. It seemed we were discovering power and violence through the telly and not looking away. On a lighter note, Johnny Logan had won Eurovision and went to number 1. What's another year, 1980? A man called Jonah was always in the kitchen at parties, as long as Kirsty MacColl could join him for backing vocals. A year later, she'd be in a chip shop with Elvis. June 1980 was a sticky one. Clothes clung, tempers shortened, and Adam and the Ants burst onto the scene like sexy pirates who'd nicked history textbooks and set them on fire. It was theatrical, aggressive, and faintly unhinged. Exactly right. A bloke gradually lost it at the bar, wanting 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps, please. Splodginess abounds, and the legendary 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps, please. It was tucked away on the B-side of Simon Templar, but 2 pints became the anthem of the summer. Also the summer of Who Shot JR? Who did shoot JR? It was you, Kristen. You shot JR. Oh, fancy. In July, sad news. Actor, singer and comedian Peter Sellers died at just the age of 54, shortly after dining with his fellow goons, Harry Seacombe and Spike Milligan. At home, snooker quietly became a national obsession. Dark rooms, coloured balls, men with sideburns and silence. It felt soothing and controlled. Kids collected badges. Adults collected grievances, and the Yorkshire Ripper was still at large. Peter Sutcliffe, who at this time was awaiting trial for drink driving, wouldn't be caught for another 4 months. Bruce was on telly with a new card game show called Play Your Cards Right. He fawned over the later to be removed dolly dealers. Good game, good game. September already, and Sheena Easton was discovered on a show called The Big Time. Esther Ransom was the one to blame. Shakin' Stevens danced like he'd soiled himself on top of the pops. And synths crept in quietly. They knew they weren't quite welcome just yet. The family comedy series Metal Mickey made its debut on ITV, in which a 5-foot silver robot became a member of the household. Metal Mickey attracted an audience of over 12 million viewers, unheard of by today's standards. The American sitcom Different Strokes had made it to the UK, starring Gary Coleman with his odd catchphrase, "What you talking about, Willis?" Dennis Waterman didn't just star in the show, he sang the theme tune too on multiple occasions. This time the theme from Minder was in the top 3, I Could Be So Good For You, at singing the ruddy theme tune. People loved the new holiday camp sitcom Heidi High, Miss Cathcart, First Rule of Comedy Spike, Yvonne and Gay Barry Stewart Hargreaves, and Gladys Pugh falling over Geoffrey Fairbrother, or Geoffrey. Heidi High. And December 1980 arrived with forced cheer. Then we heard that John Lennon signed a copy of his new album in New York for a fan and was shot dead for his trouble. Christmas was rationed by money. Presents were smaller, arguments were bigger, and you'd probably get a record token for, £1.50, thanks. Or if you were really unlucky, a book token. And the Christmas number 1 this year, there's no one quite like Ruddy Grandma. Look, there's Sally Lindsay. The grandma doesn't look too impressed. Wonder whether she'll be subscribing for more.